People who have had friends stab you in the back. What is the story? Asked two of my friends if they wanted to live together in college. Then one of them asked another person in our friend group if he wanted to join in as well. Then they asked another and another. And then once there were too many people for one apartment, they dropped me out of it. No longer friends with any of them. Was kind of a wake up call though, because I definitely gave way too much of myself to those people not knowing that I was the most expendable one. It really taught me not to put others on a pedestal and respect myself more, and has since led to me developing far more healthy relationships that bring me a lot of happiness. I had a best friend that I knew for 16 years. She got pregnant and her parents tried to kick her out. Her parents wanted her to get an abortion but she refused. One of our HS friends told me someone should push her down a flight of stairs so she can miscarry. I told her that's a very bad idea and defended my best friend. The next day, the principal came by my class to ask me if I could attend a meeting about something important. If I didn't attend, I was going to be expelled. When I arrived to the meeting, our shared friend claimed I was going to shove my best friend down flights of stairs so she can miscarry. My best friend believed her. We stopped talking after that. My mother told me she was sick of being with dad. She told me a bunch of things he'd done which made her afraid of him. She asked me to tell a few of her close friends about how she was being treated because she wanted them to understand why she was leaving. Then she decided to stay with him. So she told her friends that she had no idea what was wrong with me, but they should pray for me because it looked like I was going through something. My own mother stabbed me in the back. My husband and I, had a friend that we helped get back on his feet, paid off some tickets he had, got his license reinstated, hooked him up with a solid connection for a reasonable, well-running car to replace his beater, and gave him a place to live and a job, automotive repair. He decided it was a better choice to tell all our customers we were overcharging them. Spoiler, we weren't, and he'd do the jobs cheaper if they'd bring it to him at his house. This was a short time after he moved out of our house. After never repaying anything he owed us, not that we'd asked. Broke my heart. Made plans to go see a movie with my friends for my 16th birthday and planned it weeks in advance. Everybody bailed the day before /of, but I decided to still go see the movie. Ran into my whole group of friends leaving the movie theater while buying popcorn. My wife said she needed some time for herself, so she went to stay at her mom's for a while. One day I went to pick up my kids and walked in on her and my best friend having sex. Turns out it had been going on for a while and she knew him before she knew me, which I had no clue about. Years ago, when I did a health sciences undergraduate degree, most of the cohort was determined to get into medical school. Our medical school program mainly accepted students from only our competitive undergraduate course due to subject prerequisites. We all knew each other and were friendly, hanging out together and forming study groups. Many of my friends were great. We shared tips, resources, practiced exams and interviews together. But there were a handful who really wanted to get into medical school, and since the program ranks applicants mainly based on undergraduate results, the better your friends perform, the lower your ranking is for selection. So near application time, some of us would head off to the university library to borrow out textbooks to find chapters or page numbers that the lecturer mentioned would be on the exam, and they would be ripped out. You'd go and find another library copy of the textbook, and that page would be ripped out too. All of them, totally removed in a hurry. I didn't believe that someone from our cohort did it until interview practice began. Students began obtaining copies of the questions from previous years and lying when others asked if they had it. I saw someone give a terrible awful interview answer and the other student would give them glowing feedback and inform them they should say that word for word during the interview. It was a crap show, and a lot of relationships fell apart or were never the same again. Friend told me they weren't doing anything for their birthday. On the day of their birthday, photos appeared on Facebook of them out with the rest of our friends. They are not my friends anymore. Had a good bud of mine, who's the godfather of my son, living with me and my wife. I travel a lot for work, and was out of the country for about 6 months in the Middle East. came back and found out she was pregnant with twins and that they weren't mine. I booked a table for 6 people to watch a sports event at a bar. I tell them so. All 5 friends say okay, we will be there. No one shows up or even has the decency to call or text that they were not coming. I had one friend who honestly wasn't my favorite person because she was really manipulative, but I never said anything bad about her. I found out that she had been shit talking me to all of our mutual friends and telling them all that I did horrible things that I never did. Ended up essentially being pushed out of that entire friend group, and it ruined a lot of my high school experience. A guy who seemed like a good mate when it was just us, and then as soon as there was someone else or a group, he took the piss out of me and tried to make me the butt of all jokes. Even worse if there were girls around. After a while, I called him out on it, and he was just like, dude, it's just a joke, but I was done with him after that. I saw him randomly earlier this year, after years of no contact, and it was amicable, and we caught up a bit on how we are getting on with our lives, and while he has grown up and become a bit more grounded, there's been no intention of rebuilding a bridge. I think if I ever met someone who has that side to their personality, I'd drop them like a hot potato. A quiet girl I made friends with would only sit with me in class, just so she can go snitch about me to my ex-friends. She would literally sit next to me for 1 or 2 classes randomly, then go sit with them later. I called her out on it after she came to sit next to me and told her, why do you even bother sitting with me when we both know you're just trying to get information to talk about me with them? When I come back from the bathroom, you better go sit somewhere else. I was usually very quiet, and that was the first time I stood up for myself. In 7th grade she wrote a 10-page letter on all the reasons I should kill myself, and had all but one of my friends sign an agreement after I confided in her that I felt like something was wrong with me. Early and diagnosed depression, go figure. The day she gave it to me was arguably the worst day of my life at the point, because my parents told my sister and I that they were considering divorce, and my grandmother died. My best friend since 4th grade called her my soul sister. I genuinely was so grateful to have what I thought our friendship was. She fell on hard times, got weirdly religious, and stopped working while going to a private university. I was always there for her, shoulder to cry on, visited her all the time because she didn't have any friends and I knew she was lonely, helped her with groceries and rent, helped her family out. One day she came over, and after buying her groceries, she told me a higher power has been telling her to cut me off for 2 years, and she had to listen. Now she wants to be friends again. It's a hard nope from me, dog. Grew up going to the same church, and met my friend and her family when I was 14. We grew up together, hung out, and our families would be together all the time. Fast forward many years and I'm dating a guy that I fell in love with for almost 3 years at the time. He went to North Dakota to the oil fields for work. I went to visit him and could tell something was off a bit. Took the train from my town to Williston, 22 hours to get there. Visited him for 5 days, and on the last day he gets up and goes to shower. I grab his phone. We had an open policy with each other that either could be on each other's phones. I found the emails between my friend and him. My family still hangs out with her family and her. I refuse to be around or speak to her. For several years, I was best friends with 2 other girls in my elementary school. We always hung out together at school and outside of school. When I was 10, I befriended a nice boy in my class and rumors started circling that he was my boyfriend. He was not. However, they got jealous that I was spending time with him and befriended some kids who liked to tease me. Then, word got around that I had started my period, and apparently this was hilarious and also conclusive proof that I could no longer be friends with them. So one day after school, those girls and their new friends ganged up on me and tried to beat me up to signal the end of our friendship. Then, when I was 11, I attended a new school and I became friends with these girls who were really nice to me. I was the only foreigner in the class, and it was a bit difficult for me to adjust, so I was grateful that some students were being welcoming. They invited me to a sleepover to celebrate one girl's birthday, and they assaulted me by groping me and trying to forcibly undress me despite my protests. Obviously, I was massively disturbed, and after that, kept my distance. Then they had the audacity to ask why I was ignoring them. I don't know, because you clearly have no respect for me or my bodily autonomy. When you have multiple instances of friends harming you and betraying your trust during a pivotal point in your childhood, it seriously damages your ability to connect with others or maintain a healthy self-image. Oof. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Do all the YouTube stuff and I'll see you all tomorrow.